Welcome back to ChillSpill, where the stories are spine-chilling and the mystery never ends. Tonight, I've got a story for you that will keep you on the edge of your seat. A group of friends ventures into a secluded forest for a camping trip, but they never come back the same. This is the story of the haunted forest that traps them in a deadly nightmare. Sit back, grab your flashlight, and let's dive into the terror. A group of 5 friends, Sarah, Jake, Emily, Mark, and Ben, are shown packing their camping gear into the trunk of a car. The sun is setting, and the forest looms in the distance. It started as an ordinary camping trip. Sarah, Jake, Emily, Mark, and Ben had all been friends for years, looking for an escape from their busy lives. They had heard the stories, about the forest that is, the whispers of strange occurrences, the missing hikers, and the sounds that no one could explain. But they didn't believe it. Not yet. The group walks into the forest with backpacks, tents, and supplies. Laughter fills the air as they venture deeper into the woods. They set up camp at the edge of the forest, eager for a weekend in nature. Little did they know this forest had a dark history, and soon they would come face to face with it. Night falls. The group sits around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and chatting. The wind picks up. As the night deepened, so did the strange sense of unease that settled over the group. The wind howled through the trees, and the campfire's flicker danced wildly. But it wasn't the fire that caught their attention. It was the sounds. At first they thought it was just animals, until they heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps. A dark shape moves between the trees. The friends freeze, their smiles fading. Ben, always the skeptic, brushed it off. "Probably a deer," he said. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. Something wasn't right. And then the whispers began. The faces of the group, their eyes wide with fear. The whispers are faint, but growing louder. Low voices drifted through the trees, not from any animal, but from something else. A voice that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. And it wasn't speaking to them, it was speaking about them. The next morning, the friends pack their things and prepare to leave. But as they try to leave the campsite, something's wrong. By morning, they were ready to pack up and leave. But when they tried to head back, they realized they couldn't. The forest had shifted. The familiar path they had walked in on was gone, replaced by trees that seemed to grow taller, darker, and more oppressive. Mark is shown looking at a map, confused. No matter which way they turned, the forest seemed to stretch on endlessly. No landmarks, no path. They were trapped. And then it hit them. This forest wasn't just strange, it was alive, and it wasn't going to let them leave. The group tries to set up camp again, but everything feels wrong. The air is colder, the shadows darker. As hours turned into days, the group began to panic. Their food and water supplies dwindled. Strange, unnatural sounds echoed through the trees. And that voice, the whispers, grew louder, more insistent, like it was watching them. Emily heard her name being called, softly at first, then louder, almost desperate. But no one was there, and that's when they realized whatever was in the forest wasn't just watching them, it was toying with them. Fear turned to desperation. They had no choice but to survive. They used what little gear they had, tents, fire starters, water filters, but none of it was enough. Not when the forest itself was their enemy. And then, one by one, they began to disappear. Ben's empty tent, his backpack abandoned by the fire. Ben went missing first, then Mark. The others searched frantically, but there was no trace, no sign of struggle. It was as if the forest had swallowed them whole. Sarah and Jake are left, exhausted and terrified. They find an ancient stone circle deep in the forest. Sarah and Jake finally stumbled upon something that made their blood run cold. An ancient stone circle, weathered by time and marked with strange symbols. The realization hit them like a thunderclap. The forest was a place of ancient rituals, where souls were trapped for eternity. And as the figure of a shadowy, twisted figure appeared in the center, they understood. This was no ordinary forest. It was a prison, and they were its latest prisoners. Sarah and Jake run through the forest, their faces filled with terror. The figure follows, getting closer. With nowhere left to run, they made one last attempt to escape, sprinting blindly through the trees, hoping to outrun the terror. But the forest had one final surprise waiting for them. Sarah is grabbed by an unseen force, her scream echoing through the woods. The forest doesn't let go, not until it has you. And now, Sarah and Jake will never leave. Did they escape? Or are they still lost in their haunted forest, trapped forever? The answer, my friends, is lost to time, and to the forest itself. Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling stories. And remember, stay curious, but be careful where you wander.